Hey guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. So if you're new here, my name is Jenny and you should totally subscribe. So today's video is going to be an advice video. I figured people going into high school need this, okay? Because I definitely needed, I remember searching up freshman advice when I was barely going into high school. I was scared. I was under the impression that seniors were gonna eat me alive or something, which was not the case. So I definitely want to be that person to give you your reassurance and that advice that you need, in terms of friendships and relationships and all of the other stuff. So hopefully I cover everything in this video. If you guys have any other questions for me that I haven't covered in the video, please let me know and I will definitely answer those for you either in a separate video or in the comment section. Okay, so one thing I definitely want to cover before we start anything, we all know freshmen are fed that little lie, that little myth, I don't know if you want to call it. They're always told seniors are going to be all over you. Seniors are going to be picking at you, whatever, what have you. They're going to eat you alive. Not the case. No. I definitely want you guys, don't worry about the seniors because they're not going to be worried about you. People are just people at the end of the day, beef is beef. They're just immature if they're still picking on a freshman, okay, barely coming in. That is not on you. That is not your problem. So I definitely want to emphasize the fact that people picking on you and you're barely going in and you didn't do anything, you didn't do anything. People are like that, okay? And I genuinely want you to be prepared. People are gonna hate you for no reason. That's not on you, okay? I need you to be the peacemaker, okay? You don't wanna be the one going into fights. You don't wanna be suspended every single week, every other week, whatever, because you are missing out on your education. When you get suspended, when you get in trouble, when you go to juvie, okay, I don't know where you're gonna be. I don't know where you're gonna go. But definitely, I don't recommend getting in fights. It lands you a bad reputation with your teachers. They're not gonna be on your side. They're gonna think you're a troubled kid. Whether or not you are, they're just gonna believe that because you've been in fights, you've been this. That being said, I do believe in the fact that if you have to defend yourself, if someone lays a hand on you, that's a different story. You lay a hand on them back, okay? If you absolutely have to. But if it's avoidable, if you can avoid a fight, 100% do that. Don't be Bruce Lee, don't be Kung Fu Panda, okay? It's gonna follow you probably. I don't know if they put it on your permanent record when you go to jail or whenever you go, whenever you get in trouble, but you don't want to risk that anyways. In other words, choose your fights wisely. Let's talk about friends. Switching schedules because you have a friend in a certain class, you just want to be with them. I just want to emphasize, don't get too used to being with your friend, okay? Your friends going into high school are not going to be the same coming out of high school. I am living proof of this. I went into high school with my 8th grade friends. We were all friends. We were all married. We were all one. We were all just vibing. We were getting along. Drama happens. Things happen. The years passed. Graduation came around. I had no friends. That's just what it is. Besides the people that hardly talked to me, but the people that were in my friend group, they were not friendly anymore. They were not my friends. Enjoy the friendships while they last. I'm not saying be completely closed off because those people are going to be walking out of your life, but just be aware that that could happen. So 9 times out of 10, you do have that good friend that's gonna stay with you past high school, maybe even through college, you know what I mean? That is, it's going to last. Sometimes they last, but I want you to be aware. Most friendships in high school that you start with, you're not going to be here together at the end. It's, it's pretty much, it's expected. When you do get to that point, let them go. okay? If people walk out of your life, it's for a reason. God doesn't want them in your life. They're not meant to be helping you anymore. They're not helping you by being in your life. Sometimes they'll walk out themselves, or you got to cut them off. That's just what it is. Yeah, it hurts. I've thought about it since all this time, like, damn, I don't have any friends that I used to in high school, and I miss them, and I miss the vibes. You know what I mean? That is completely understandable, but it's inevitable. So, you know, what is it? Deal with the things handed to you, okay? The cards are handed to you. When they remove a card, there's always going to be one other card coming in. So there's a bad thing going out. You thought it was good, but hey, this other thing is going to come in. It doesn't mean it's automatically, but something is going to change for the better. Relationships. You love somebody. You want them to be a part of your life forever and ever, because that's just what it is. Like, you don't think about, oh, they're gonna walk out. Like, that's just not a normal thing to think about. You just don't expect it, right? I'm pretty sure. So that being said, I do want you to be aware that the guy that you are dating in high school, sometimes it does happen, okay? Sometimes you end up with them, you marry them, whatever. Happily ever after, completely fine. But 9 times out of 10, most of the time, you are not gonna end up with the same guy, okay, that you had in high school. He's probably gonna dump you in between, like freaking sophomore year or something. That's normal, okay? Relationships aren't meant to last. We learn, we grow with them. So I want you to know, don't freaking rearrange your life for a guy, because that guy is probably not going to be there, you know what I mean, after the fact. There's such thing as the honeymoon phase, okay? Y'all are probably gonna look at me like, you don't know what you're talking about. It's completely fine. You know, choose to be blind at your own risk. But if it happens, it happens, and I'm sorry that I told you and you didn't believe me, okay? But this just is the truth. Choose you before everything, okay? If you're not feeling good about a guy, bye, okay? That's a reason that guy rhymes with bye, because bye, bitch, bye, okay? You don't need those problems, especially in high school, okay? And if the guy is for you, he's just gonna find his way back to you. But you're concentrating on your grades right now, your education. There are certain phases in life where, you know that phrase, it's sometimes you play, sometimes it's, you know, at work, you're working. You know, there's a time to play, there's a time to work. Focus on you, your grades in high school, okay? The best advice I can give you. Now, you don't have to aim for straight A's, okay? You know, if your parents are pushing you, just know that you're okay if you get a B, okay? And occasionally a C, okay? But I want you to keep those grades up between an A and a B minus, okay? Sometimes a C is okay, but keep them at least passing. I wasn't the one to follow my parents' expectations of me. Although I do understand an A plus, we all want to get it. We all, you know, but if you can't, you can't. Okay, you didn't pass a test. Oh well. You know, I don't want you to beat yourself up over that. I know your parents are gonna say something else, but the truth is, you need to be happy with what you did. Because if you didn't get an A and your parents are punishing you about it, they're not celebrating what you have worked hard for. You got a B. At least you passed. Okay? I would give you ice cream. Okay? Don't beat yourself up over bad grades that you think are bad. Even bad grades, you know, but push yourself harder if you do get a bad grade. Make that very minimal, that you go below that 70. Don't be all about a man, is what I have to say. And don't give yourself away. Don't give your body away to someone in high school. You know, unless you really, really trust them. You were together maybe a year, maybe a few months at least. Okay, but if you really trust that person, don't be sending nudes. Don't do that. Okay, because guys in high school, they're quick. They spread the word really fast. Every guy knows every guy. Okay? They're probably talking about you in the freaking guy's locker room. And you sent a nude picture. Oops. I really don't want you to go through that. I think I had a friend. We're not gonna talk about that though. But, she had her pregnancy scares. She had, whatever. And it was just a lot to be dealing with in high school. You don't want to be dealing with that. Stay drama free as much as possible. Okay? That's another tip. Just, mind your own business, but put yourself out there, not negatively, but positively. Do what you love. But that being said, don't let people's opinions and comments get to you. Okay? Like, so what? So-and-so said that you're ugly. You can't do this. You're not talented enough to be in choir. You're not whatever. Ignore. And it might be hard, but you know what? Even if that does get to you, I need you to push yourself to do it. Prove them wrong. Be who you're meant to be, regardless of who's saying that you can't be who you want to be. That is the way life is. People are going to be feeding you all this negativity, this positivity. It's your job, your responsibility to pick and choose what you want to take and make it a part of who you are. Okay? I choose the positivity all the time, but I definitely recommend to listen to yourself. Okay? Because 9 times out of 10, the person that's supposed to support you, like a parent or something, they're gonna be telling you, you can't do that. That's unrealistic. I literally said I wanted to do acting, and someone said, that's unrealistic. Like, what do you want to do realistically? Like, no, babe. You need to say, like, you don't have to be rude. Don't be rude. But prove people wrong. Not by your words. Don't even say anything. Just do. Okay? I need you to do it. I need you to push yourself to do it. Feed yourself positivity, so when people are negative, it just bounces off, and it goes back. And that's the best advice that I could give anybody, because I have literally struggled with negativity coming towards me and making me question what's meant for me and what I can and can't do because I look a certain way or I'm the size I am, and I used to be big. Okay, I mean, I'm not the skinniest still, but I used to be bigger than this. Okay, so I'm telling you, some people, you just have to ignore people. Honestly, just ignore everybody. Just ignore everybody and listen to yourself. Feed yourself positivity, because you are a bad bitch. And yeah, this is what it is. So, okay. And I think that is it for this little girl talk, this little advice video. I really hope you guys enjoyed it. It was just something I pulled out of my ass. And I was like, these people need advice. Especially because some people are going to be starting school soon. It's almost August. We're a month away from school. How do you feel about that? How do you guys feel about that? Like, I'm not going to school anymore, by the way. How do you feel about that? Oh yeah, the last thing I have to say is fake it till you make it, bitch. Bleep. You already said it. Why am I censoring it? I don't know. If you need me, I'm always here. My DMs are always open for you baddies. Just remember that you're that girl and no one can take that away from you. Just do you. Be you. Do what you can do. And lastly, man, I really wanted to rhyme again, but I have no idea what to say. I don't know. Just shit on people. shit on them. Okay? Period.